Thank you.
What lurks behind this unassuming storefronts in Cleveland, Ohio? It's the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. Learn the history of Wicca and the tale of those who brought it to the United States. See the tools of magic, once used by practitioners of the arcane arts. It's the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic.
Welcome to the Buckland Museum, Frankenstein Radio Controls, broadcasting from a hidden dark damp cave underneath the city of Cleveland. First up, some business. Jesse Bransford Time Machines 1997-2021 is on display right now in our rotating exhibit area. It's up until the end of the month. Check it out. Many know Jesse's work from our Magic Circle, which he painted here 2 years ago. It's what I always refer to as our spiritual safe space here in the museum. You ever get heavy vibes, make sure you go stand in the circle. So this is 24 years of Jesse exploring the intersection between art and the occult. I love it. People have been loving it. And we actually have copies of his book, which is extraordinary. It's all his Icelandic sorcery magic, his staves illustrations. In our side quest gallery to the side of the museum, we are currently showing Manifest, the chakra photo series by L.A. Carr, curated by our dear friend Kelly Quest, the Lake Witch, that runs until mid-September. And I'm not sure if we put out the press release today or not, but the show that we're going to be showing in our main space inside the gallery, starting, I believe the date is August 17th, is the Hidden Occult World of Bert Schoenberg. Bert Schoenberg is an extraordinary painter. His paintings were featured in the film The House of Usher, the Vincent Price film. This is our friend Stephen Romano that we work with a lot. Every once in a while he approaches me with something that is just so fantastic, so incredible, so far out, so amazing, that I will stop at nothing to bring it to the guests here at the museum. I feel like I'm getting emotional right now, but when you see these pieces, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. And that starts in the beginning of, or mid-August. I've just opened up ticketing for September, so you can come buy your tickets and come see us at the Buckland Museum anytime. But anyway, we're not here to talk about this stuff. We are supposed to speak with Michael Herkes and Tony Rotunda, my partner here in the museum. It was her birthday yesterday, so make sure you wish her a happy birthday. Well, we're teaming up to have a little conversation. So, welcome to the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic, Michael.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So, I guess the main reason why we've asked you here is because of the fact that you have donated a piece to the collection. All right?
Yes.
So you are in the hallowed halls of, the Buckland collection. So
exciting.
Can you please tell us about this piece right here?
Yes. So this is a replica of Lilith in the form of the Burning Relief, which is a very famous piece. It's a plaque that came from Sumerian time. It's currently on display in the British Museum. I was lucky enough to get a chance to see it back in 2018. And I came across this beautiful little replica that was created in Turkey by an artist named Dissel. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. And when I wrote my first book, The Glam Witch, which was completely based on my practice as a devotee of Lilith and practitioner of glamour magic, I was looking to design a cover, and I had no idea what it is that I really wanted to do at that time. And I had a lily here, a beautiful pink lily, and one of my new, she was new at the time, new pet serpents, Rose, who's a rosy boa, and I put them on the back of the note, took a couple of shots, and the cover to my first book. I loved the arching that was put on the plaque that kind of had this kind of doorway effect. That if you were going to be entering this glamorous world of Lilith, that would be the door that you would enter. So that became my cover. And interesting enough, it kind of has this, it was unintentional, but I saw this movie cover for these movies on witchcraft. They were called Witchcraft. From the late 80s, early 90s. And the first one has a very similar cover feel. And I remember seeing that so many times as a kid in the video rental stores. So I think some of that translated to getting that design set up, which was fun.
Yeah, this is absolutely fabulous. So you say that you're a devotee of Lilith. What does that really entail?
Wow, that's a loaded question. We could be here for hours talking about that. But in general, in short, I would say that it really is, it entails being authentically yourself. It involves being empowered and feeling free to be, 100% who you are, 100% that witch, if you will. And tapping into various mysteries that are aligned with Lilith's ever-evolving story. She goes back 5,000 years at least that we know, and we go back down the breadcrumbs of looking at who this entity is that we know now, the entity that started as the prototype for Lilith, and then who she's become now, who I see as a goddess of our time, a goddess of our generation, who is instilling equality, sensuality, freedom in the world, all things that we need at this point in time. And so as far as just personal practice goes, definitely talk about it in the book, focusing magics that combines intuitive magic, astrological shadow work, aligned with Lilith from an astrological perspective, because she has bodies in our natal chart, glamour magic, sex magic, and protection. And full moon worship, things like that, connecting with her is, it was Doreen Valiente who said that Lilith represented the dark glamour of the moon. And so that's kind of where I got the idea that the Glam Witch, would be an acronym, not just necessarily a physical aesthetic of glam and glamour, which I love and have always been kind of connected to, but I transformed that into a representation for the great Lilithian arcane mysteries, which is what I consider to be my glam witchcraft.
So I wanted to actually talk to you a little bit about this.
Yes.
The first time that I met you was pre-COVID, a few years ago.
Yes.
First met you, it was here in Columbus. So I'm in Columbus, and it was here at a store called Witch Lab, a metaphysical shop here in Columbus called Witch Lab, and you had come to teach a class on Lilith. For that, I am grateful. Wonderful class, and thank you so much for sharing that. That meant, I know it meant a lot to me, and I know it meant a lot to the people that were there as well.
Of course, I loved it. I had such a fun time.
I never got a chance to. I know we talked a little bit afterwards, but I never got a chance to really talk to you about it. And I wanted to let you know that that opened up a few doors for me. I was very familiar with Lilith, but that opened it up a little bit more. I do everything in my dreams, and my dreams were very, very active for quite some time. And
yeah, she rules over the dream world quite a bit. She loves that.
Okay, yeah, my relationship with deity is, and Stephen will tell you, it's kind of private and personal, so I don't really talk too much about it. I think it is a private thing, but I wanted to thank you for sharing that. And I won't go into detail. You did some visualizations, some meditations, and that helped me an awful lot. So I'm very
Great.
thankful. And I wanted to ask, thank you for that introduction of her. If it's not too personal, when did you first meet with Lilith? Can you recall, or if that's personal, you don't have to.
No, of course I'll share. It's something that I kind of go back and forth with a lot because I think to myself, I think she was always there in the shadows of my childhood, kind of gearing me up to, do this work for her, leading me to the path of witchcraft, leading me and guiding me along the way. Because ever since I was a child, I had a very large affinity to witches. I mean, I just loved the archetype of the witch. Any movie, cartoon, anything growing up as a child, I just was into the witch. I mean, most kids are running around like loving Barney and all of that, but I was completely saturated in Snow White and the Seven Dwarves and the Wizard of Oz and all of that. I just loved witches. And I also loved the moon, and I loved Barbies and snakes and anything feminine, but also kind of dark and mysterious. And eventually, of course, that led me into, finding other television shows and things like that, strong feminine representations like Xena, and then eventually Buffy. And the first time, I guess I will say that I've met Lilith in that name and kind of put a name to the figure was from a Buffy comic book that I got shortly after the show started, where she was in it as the mother of all vampires, this demonic witch. She had this long flowing red hair and this purple dress, which I think was kind of a ripoff of the movie Bordello of Blood, because that came out right kind of before that comic book came out, and that was kind of a famous staple as far as Lilith movie appearances. And so I just absolutely loved that character of her. I thought she, just the presence was so glamorous and just badass. Like, she was awesome. And I know she was the villain in it, but I've always had a thing for the villains or the antagonist in stories, and kind of trying to figure out like what led them down that road, and were they really a villain, or was it just someone's perception of that?
Right.
And then, of course, from there, Buffy started to introduce more witchcraft and terminology like Wicca, and then Charmed came out, and I just got sucked into that world, and I was like dealing with teenage torment and coming out of everything, coming into my sexuality, and trying to figure myself out, getting teased a lot, and trying to conform to what society wanted me to be. And of course, I came into witchcraft then. I got Teen Witch by Silver Ravenwolf. I got the Big Blue book, Buckland's Big Blue. I got a couple of other books, and I just really started to get into witchcraft, especially loving the idea that there was a feminine principle of divinity that was either equal or higher ranking, depending on which kind of tradition or where you kind of saw things. And it was from there that, again, Lilith kind of started popping up again. I'd open up books and she was there. I started seeing things about patron deities, and I was just, of course, I needed that. I needed that. I needed anathema. I needed everything, because that's what books told me. And at the time, though, I mean, this was 20 years ago. The internet wasn't what it is today. Google wasn't doing its thing. I think at that point, Ask Jeeves was really the main Google. And
I forgot all about that. You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
And, I only had the public library or the school. And most of those sites were blocked at those places because witchcraft, evil, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But of course, anything that was on Lilith at the time was just, it painted her as a demon. It painted her connected to Satanism. It painted her as this evil villain. And, being a 11-year-old, 12-year-old kid, I'm just like, no, I don't want anything to do with that. I'm going to forget about Lilith. Let me go exploring some of these other deities, and none of them really, worked. I mean, I started to research them. They were great. I would meditate a little bit, and I just didn't have the connection. And I kept hearing Lilith's name. I kept opening up books and seeing her name there. I kept on turning on television shows and seeing Lily or a character that was referenced it. And at the time, I was absolutely bewitched by Fiona Horn. All of her books, I call her my literary high priestess. She's my witch mom out there. And she was on this show called Mad House, saw that she was connected to Lilith at that time, that was her patron deity. And at that point, I was just like, look, you're screaming at me at this point. I have to get out of my own way. I have to suspend my own cynicism and disbelief and start working with you. And luckily at that time, Fiona had released a book that was only in Australia that talked about a little bit about her working with Lilith. And since that was the only thing that I could find that kind of gave a little bit of incantations, different associations, correspondences, I used that as my template to then further explore the history of Lilith in so many different capacities over time, and also just goddess worship from the different areas and different things that she was connected to find similarities. And a lot of it was trial error. And I've been a solitary witch, this whole time since then. And in 2017, I went to New Orleans to Hex Fest for the first time, saw all of these wonderful people doing a whole bunch of stuff, and kind of really pushed myself to come out of the broom closet and share my story. I wrote my first article for Witch Way magazine. It was about Lilith. Everyone loved it. People wanted more information. And so the Glam Witch was really the book that I wanted growing up that I never had. So I wanted to write that.
So you've only been a public witch for the last 4 years? Is that?
Yeah, I'm bad at math. What is it? 5 years? 5 years, no. I guess.
So I just want to do a shout out to Fiona Horn. You talked about Teen Witch earlier, the book, and this book right here is really wonderful. I'm very comfortable with my guests that come in to be able to, the teen kids that are coming in these days, and they're looking for like some insight on how to be a witch, and they're teenagers. This book recently released here in the U.S., at least, distributed by Weiser. I am very comfortable with selling this to my guests that come in that are teenagers, and I just want to say that I think it's kind of cool that she's taking on that role of Silver Ravenwolf's Teen Witch book, but contemporary, modern. So thank you, Fiona.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's kind of how it all started, and it's been a fascinating trip since, really exploring individuality, coming into myself, being much more comfortable with fluidity, and just personal empowerment, and it's been lovely. And even during COVID, what I thought was really fun, because we all kind of know Lilith as this badass. She left Eden, she left Adam, she was independent, she was pro-feminism, all of that great stuff. And kind of during COVID, the lesson that I've been learning from her more was the sadness that comes from that. Anyone that's kind of labeled as a badass or someone who's like really super powerful and all of that, they've gone through some stuff, and they've, none of it has ever easy. And so for the first time, I kind of saw and learned what it means to be like working with Lilith, and then understanding that more wounded side of her. Because a lot of times when we're dealing with a deity who's like considered a dark goddess, a dark god, someone who's a little bit more of that kind of mysterious, dark, kind of energy and essence, that power is a source of inspiration to us when we're in our bad times, when we're at our worst. It kind of helps pull us out of that dark trenches. But I don't think that we ever really kind of look and see the wounded part that they kind of go through. So it was kind of like a big flip for me. It was like kind of being more at the I guess happier space, but then kind of reaching in and kind of doing the flip side of it and seeing kind of more of the wound. And I really appreciate that, because it's made my practice and love for her much more well-rounded and full of depth. But
that's wonderful, and I'm bringing up something. Oh, it's gonna make me emotional. Stephen, you better get back here, because I cry a lot.
Cry, let it out.
You posted something, and we're Facebook friends, and this is personal. This is very personal, and it's something that you said just recently. You were having dinner.
Yes. Do you want me to tell the story? I could do it.
Yes, because I'm starting to cry.
Well, it's something, and I mean, even myself, in the last couple of years, in becoming this persona of the Glam Witch, wearing makeup and heels and caftans, dresses, things like that, and being a little bit more fluid with gender, I feel as though I'm kind of really truly becoming myself and kind of going back to the roots of who I was. My 20s was really trying to conform to what society wanted me to be, and having that moment of like the Lilith the younger dealing with Adam, and you know, these relationships where you know, I had to be submissive, and I was controlled. So it's been this like kind of long process of really kind of having this mirrored journey with what Lilith was going through. And even still, sometimes it does kind of suck. It's like, you know, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I would, you know, be lucky, or maybe I would get somewhere else if I kind of stopped doing what it is that I'm doing now. And I think anybody kind of has that feeling every now and then, that idea like maybe I should just give it all up and go back to the way that it used to be. Maybe things would be simpler. And even though deep down I'm like, no, fuck that, I'm going to just keep doing me. I had been kind of having those feelings for a few weeks. And so I was out with friends, a bunch of gay guys in the gay area here in Chicago. And of course, it was just talks of masculinity and mask things and all of that. And I'm here in my satin flowing silk caftan and some heels, and go to dinner, and I'm walking into the bathroom, and I see this kid, and he's at the urinal, and I'm like, let me take a step back, I'll give him privacy, I don't want any drama, and I also want to give him the respect that he has and make him not feel uncomfortable, because I don't care if an adult man sees me and is uncomfortable in the bathroom, but a kid, I just want to be able to preserve that for them. And you know, he finished, it comes out of the bathroom, I go in, I hike up my caftan, do my business, go back to dinner with my friends, and then, you know, he's leaving with his family, and the aunt stops by and was like, I have to tell you, my nephew he absolutely loved, he couldn't stop talking about your dress and your heels, and he loves everything, and thank you for that. And that was a really eye-opening moment where it was just kind of, maybe Lilith sent that situation to me, where it was, don't stop what it is that you're doing, you know, continue to break free from the norms, and you know, that's healing the world in its own way, you know, which is, we're kind of linked to always being of service. We help heal the community, we heal each other, we put ourselves out there, and a lot of us are working witches, where we do services for clients, and astrological readings or tarot readings or any of that. And you know, in my own little way, with being a glamorous witch, working with glamour magic, I think that just a lot of the inspiration that comes from what I'm doing can transcend to other people and give them hope to break out of their confines and do what it is that they want to do. And just seeing this shift with the younger generation being more open to things and not seeing things so black and white when it comes to gender is touching, especially in the world that we're at right now. So, you know, with Lilith being a representation for equality, you know, a lot of that equality can just be personally within yourself, representing both halves, the masculine and the feminine, regardless of your born gender.
I will say that I was expecting one book when I started reading this. And it
turned into a whole other one, didn't it?
Yeah, no, but I'm very glad that I had the opportunity to check it out.
I'm happy you did too, and you enjoyed it.
There's a lot in here. There's a lot in here.
So Tony and I, we talk every day, and she tells me about things, right? And she's like, went to this beautiful workshop. It was amazing. It was all about Lilith, and I was just like, ooh. Because the Lilith to me is, Lilith's intense. I first discovered, I think I first read her name probably in these books here, Kenneth Grant's books.
Okay.
You know, intense stuff that maybe I wasn't quite ready for at the time. And just like went to this.
Try being a 10-year-old kid and having her calling out to you and being like, "Come on, we got work to do."
Oh, yeah.
Like that was intense.
The cave. Just fascinating stuff, but I was just like, oh, okay. But then I saw the book named The Glam Witch, and I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna like teach me how to be glamorous in my witchcraft, and then it became something else. And I gotta say, I appreciate that. It's
I love that it kind of has, because Lilith works with riddles. I mean, everything is a riddle. I'm sure with other people that work with other deities, I can't really, you know, personally say what that's like, but I'm sure that anyone that's working with deities, they speak to you in riddles. Lilith is very, very into that. It's a language that, you know, only you are going to understand, and if you're like 2 words, and it's like Mad Libs. You got to figure everything out. So I love that. I guess in my own way, I was able to kind of create this little riddle where it's on the surface it looks like one thing, but actually when you get inside of it, it's something different.
Yeah.
And even thinking about it now, that's everyone's perception of Lilith. They look at her one thing. Some people even say, "Oh no, she's not a deity. She's just a demon, or she was just made up by, this or that religion, or all these different things." And
maybe some biblical fan fiction, maybe.
Exactly. And going back even to the replica that I donated to you all, I mean, that has had huge contradictions on the internet and big, large fights on whether or not this represents Lilith, whether it's a representation of Ishtar or Rishtagon. And, even the museums, even the full-on, archaeologists don't really know 100% who it is because each idea has a contradictory symbol to it. So they're not really sure. But when this was first put out into the world, I think it was the late 1930s, it was connected to Lilith because of the talons and stories from her, from Mesopotamian times, specifically a story that involved her with Gilgamesh and living in the middle of a tree and building a nest there. And but over time, it's again all over the place with who it might be. There's lots of fights online. That's not Lilith. That's not Lilith. And I even mentioned in the book too. It doesn't matter if it was Lilith. It is Lilith now. If we think about New Orleans and Marie Laveau, there's the one, her grave, but it's not even really her grave. But people use it as her grave. It's associated with it. And so energy is accumulated to it. So it may not have been Lilith once upon a time ago. It may not be any deity that we are aware of. We don't have the show it. But it is Lilith in a modern essence because energy has been connected to her with that for the last 100 years at this point. And she wears it well. So I will always welcome that image in my practice as a representation.
I think about that. I think about this quite a bit with the idea of things like the Necronomicon book, okay? Perhaps it's not, obviously it's not the great book of H.P. Lovecraft's, the Book of Dead Names and stuff. But so many people have used that book over the years and put their, into it, and of course it's going to, do its thing. There's a reason why my copy of it, I have to move it out of the room and spend the night in the guest room.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's just heavy vibes to it placed upon it. So I wanted to ask you a couple things about this image. Okay. Here to the left and to the right, we have owls.
Yes.
Any idea of what the other two creatures by the feet are?
So they're it's hard to kind of tell in this small little replica, but they are considered to be lions. So a lot of the ideas were that, the lions are smaller and she's standing on top of lions that have manes. So it's masculine lions. And then the owls are a lot taller. So it's femininity over masculinity. There's that idea. There's the idea too that it was connected to Ishtar at the time because the lion was sacred to her, and she was one of the only goddesses from the time period that was associated with blood. But she was not known to be associated with owls. However, Lilith or Lilitu, which is the prototype for Lilith that we know today, was considered a handmaiden in Ishtar's sacred sex temples. And the owl was kind of sometimes thought to believe that it was a connection to that, and that it represented prostitution because the owl was a nighttime owl, nighttime nocturnal creature, and they looked at the priestesses of that as the same thing. So they thought that might be a representation of that, or it could be connected to Ereshkigal, the goddess of the underworld, Ishtar's sister, with that association. So it's, again, there's a lot of different theories, and no one can actually state what it is.
Well, I think that's absolutely wild and fascinating. I think it's great that we asked you to come speak with us today. Let's face it, July 22nd, we got a full moon going on.
Yeah.
We're also entering into Leo season, are we not? So now it all makes sense. I always wish there was an owl in the zodiac, but I'll never be that.
See, I always wish there would be a snake. I love serpents, so dang it.
So let's see. We have a comment here. I am loving this, y'all. The pen is beautiful. I need this for my altar. Vanessa, you should come
I know
here.
we know the name of the artist. Who is the artist again? So I can
Yes, it's Dissel. And I need to look at her last name. I think it's Uladon. But she does have a website. You can purchase them. The name of her company, and she's on like Instagram and Facebook and all of that, is Spirit of Mine. So it's Spirit of Mine Art, and she's based in Istanbul, Turkey.
Okay.
So if you can Google searching and everything, you should be able to find her. Her first name is spelled Dicile, I believe.
Okay.
Or if you just follow me, I'm at the.glam.witch on Instagram, and you go into the people that I'm following, you can look for her there.
Okay. Perfect.
So Misty Unger says, thank you for this. Going to buy Glam Witch tomorrow. Hey, if you're local, come buy it from us here in the gift shop. If not, buy it somewhere else. It's all good. It's been on my wish list for a while now. Misty, I'm looking at your profile picture. Mm-hmm. You were here at the museum, weren't you? I love that. I feel so blessed. I meet the absolutely coolest people that come through Cleveland because, you know, everybody else goes everywhere else, but the cool people come and hang out with us at the Witchcraft Museum. And it is such an honor to be able
I can't wait to visit. Once, you know, I can travel a little bit more, I'm planning on coming. So,
yeah, it's
ready.
6 hours away. So I'm going to be going to Chicago pretty soon to see my dear friend Michael Bertio. Have you ever heard of Michael Bertio before? He's quite the mystic. He hangs out at the Occult Bookstore every last Sunday of the month where he gives a lecture on like classic films and occult archetypes. You should really do it like when you can. So,
okay, great. Thanks for that.
Loved our visit. You were so cool with my daughter. Yeah, that's cool. I'm sure your daughter was cool with me. So, Jamie Bible Holbrook. I remember the name because Bible in the middle. Yeah, you guys were awesome. Thank you. So, what's new for the love? Or I almost called you the Love Witch there.
It's okay. I love that movie.
Sure what's new for the Glam Witch? Well, this book just dropped. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. Yes. Witchcraft for Daily Self-Care. This book, you know, to be completely honest, last April, May, I started to write a new book. It was kind of taking one of the chapters out of the Glam Witch and turning it into its own book on glamour magic specifically. And it just didn't seem like the world needed that right now. And I was kind of struggling with my own type of self-care and connecting to myself on a magical level as well as just a mundane level. And so I kind of went back into doing daily exercises to connect to the craft a little bit more, and pitched it to my publisher to do a witchcraft self-care book. And after a couple of months of that, you know, going back and forth and being interested and kind of figuring out how to work it, we developed this. And it's been doing really, really well, and I'm really happy that it's come out now as things are starting to open up, and we're starting to kind of reconnect and do our own personal healing. But the book, it starts off really digging deep into self-care and how witchcraft is really linked to self-care. I mean, even earlier I had mentioned us being connected to healing ourselves and other people, being of service to the world around us. And so many of us are, just in our regular lives, you know, have responsibilities to family, friends, organizations, work, all of these different things. But regardless of what it is that you're doing and who you are, if you're not putting yourself first, you're not caring for yourself, your energy, taking time out to regroup, you're not going to be able to perform at your highest levels. Right. Just self-care is really tied into, you know, tapping into self-examination, your higher self, all of those things in the same way that witchcraft is. So we go into all of that and then get into a 90-day template for magical self-care. You can do it full on 90 days in the order that's there. You can do a bibliomancy type of a thing where you flip the pages and land on something and pick something out for the day. But Those 90 spells, rituals, and exercises they span across mind, body, spirit, our environment, personal relationships and community, and then overall success. And there's something in there for everybody. We've got really, really beginner level basic things, and then there's some stuff for more advanced practitioners as well. So regardless of where you're at study-wise, you'll be able to do anything that's in here or tailor it appropriately, and I give some ideas on how you can go ahead and tailor things to fit your needs as well. So we'll have stuff from one day doing a full-blown ritual at the full moon to the next day going for a quick walk and kind of observing animals to doing a witchy movie marathon in your house with a candle and some vanilla incense or oil on a candle to connect to positive energy and high vibration vibes. And then other meditations and things along those lines. So that's that book. I really love that. And again, that came out June 1st, I believe. Yeah, June 1st that came out. And then I have another new book that's coming out August 3rd, which is Love Spells for the Modern Witch, right here. So I've been promoting this book right now. To be honest, it's one of my favorite books that I've written. I just had so much fun writing it. I used a much more clear voice than I normally have. And again, this one has a little bit of something for everybody, whether you're single or you're with somebody in a relationship, or you're looking for a new relationship, or new partners to scratch itches, or any of that kind of stuff. We have spells for self-love and healing the heart, protecting the heart, finding new love, keeping the spark alive, and then just overall celebrating love, as well as a lot of stuff on astrology and compatibility. Not necessarily just sun sign compatibility, but looking at your Venus signs and your Mars signs and some of those yin and yang signs that are out there to overall my people.
I gotta say, all of your books are full of so much information. There's so much in there. Whether activities, exercises, there is a lot. And this one, the love spells.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this has happened to you, but all too many times, practitioners, that when people know you're a practitioner, they come to you and say, can you do a love spell for me? Can you make, ... fall in love with me? Can you?
No.
We just, we sigh. We just, because do they work? Yeah, they work. They work.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want it to work? Are you prepared for the consequences of it?
Exactly.
No.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not just people coming to us asking us to do that, but then there's us as witches too that are like, we get into it and we're like, oh my gosh, I really like this person. Let me do this spell to get them. Because I know they said we can't, but we can. So let me do it anyway and just see how it goes. I've been there. I mean, the first spell I ever did, I talked about in the introduction, was a love spell. And I've done a lot of love spells. And a lot of times they really backfire, and I'm a glutton for punishment because I keep doing them over and over again. So I just
you gotta be careful what you wish for, because you're gonna get it. And there's a scene, and it's one of my all-time favorite movies, and I know a lot of people, but in Practical Magic, where the two aunties there's someone pounding at the door in the middle of the night, and it's that woman who comes to the door, and
that poor dove gets stabbed.
Every time you're like, oh, because this is not right. This is not right.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to know, and I don't know if I'm the only one, is I want to know what happened. Like a couple months later, did she come back and say, you need to do something because I need to get this person off my couch? Like,
well, maybe. That's probably what happened. I mean, they were working witches, and a lot of, times that's what happens when you're doing concierge services for people with magic.
Oh, yeah.
You get your clientele.
It's never ever a good idea. And I want to say that what I read in the book, you are very ethical about successful love spells, and that is important, to be very ethical about how you do your magic.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely. What I loved too, which was, I'm sure I'm going to get some controversy for it, but I really openly talked about hexing in this book. And even the publisher was like, ooh, no, we're not going to do that. And I'm like, no, we're going to, because it is a real thing. And a lot of us do it. And a lot of us do it when we've been burned in love, because, I mean, it's just kind of natural. But I remember there's a little section, it's called Let's Talk About Hex, and I'm just like, let's stop pretending that hexing doesn't exist. It does, and let's not look at it from a negative point of view, but looking at it as a way to go against an adversarial person who's hurt us when we've done everything in the real world. You know, hexing is a lover, for example, or even a friend that really hurts you. You know, that's a really good way to bring closure to yourself.
Right.
And of course, we're not talking about doing crazy, horrible things, but just cutting the cord, sending the pain back to them, you know, intensifying them, giving them a cosmic witch slap is what I call it, you know, when you've been wronged. And so I do offer that as a solution in a couple of areas in the book.
So I like the name Witch Slap. I think Tiffany, maybe she should have a side business, not just Witch Lab, but Witch Slap.
Yeah. And we could use that like Ubers. You call up a witch and we go after and witch slap, you know, the bad people in your life. That would be fun.
So in my intro to the museum, I always talk about, you know, what we put forth, we get back. We don't go around hexing people too much. But then at some point, I always bring up an altar that we have in the back that was owned by, to me, my favorite of all time contemporary witches, besides our founder, Raymond Buckland. And that would be Dr. Leo Louis Martello. And Leo, you know, at some point he got very militarized, where after Stonewall, and it's fun when I ask people if they've ever heard of the Stonewall riots. Some people have, some people haven't. So I'm always really excited to be able to share with people about like the birth of the modern gay rights movement.
Yeah.
And I always love bringing up Leo because, you know what? Nothing's off the table, you know? It's, if you want to protect your friends, your friends, your family, your community, I mean, there's reasons to go down those alleys. If somebody cut you off in traffic, whatever,
probably not.
Let it go.
Or you just don't like what that person across the street is wearing, probably not.
Yeah.
But
I mean, give them a side eye if you want. That's fine.
Yeah, give them the resting witch face.
Yeah.
You know, but but don't go hexing them. But I talked about that, and you know what I also loved in it too is I brought up a lot of other kind of more modern things that I haven't seen in love spell books, like there's spells. You know, we're very familiar with a come to me love spell or even a come to me lust spell. But I do want
Fiona Fearon, right?
What'd you say?
Your come to me love spell. That was you first came across that from Fiona Warren.
Oh yes. Absolutely, that was in her book Witch: A Magical Journey, which is still like my Bible of all witch books. Yeah. But in the new book, I have a spell for a couple who's looking for a third to join. So a throuple spell, a come to us spell. Or you even as somebody else that's looking to join a third, you know, be a third wheel could do that spell. Just switch the wording around a little bit. But that's something that we don't talk about in witchcraft. There's a lot of polyamory and open relationships within witchcraft. Very sex positive community. Of course, that was something else that I loved coming into it. Just open to sexuality, sexual expression, all of that. So there's not just love spells in it. There's sex magic. There's how to do solo sex magic, partnered sex magic, some love and lust potions. Different oil blends, lots of different things, cake recipes for the cooking witches.
I think there was a cookie recipe that I was
there was
like,
what?
ooh, a cookie recipe or something. I thought,
the cookie one. The cookie recipe is in the self-care book, and it actually came from my best friend. And it's white chocolate and cardamom. It's so flippin' good. Like that's really good. The love spell book has some Damiana truffles in them though, which are excellent, and a cardamom rose cake. To celebrate love or have a love soiree where you can just have all your friends come over and do a big love spell. That's how the book finishes. That's with that recommendation.
There are so many facets in this book, from tarot card spreads astrological charts, your natal charts.
Yep.
Everything is covered in this book.
And even history on love spells, which to me honestly was, I don't like I've never been a fan of history. I mean, I know I'm one of those people. You know, art was my thing. And I have to say that in both the Glam Witch, writing the historical parts of Lilith was a lot of fun. It was challenging because my editor was like, okay, you sound like you're writing a high school paper. I need you to get drunk, like really drunk, and record yourself like talking like drunk history, but it's going to be drunk Lilith. And I need you to talk into the microphone about how it is, because there's so much personality in this book, but this chapter is stale, get it cute. So I did. And that was fun. But even with this one, going back and learning a little bit more about the history of love spells, which was, you know, if even for someone who like me who loves love spells, I didn't know like the whole history inside and out of it. So that was, and I mean, it only turned into 2 pages of writing, but that was really fascinating to me, and learning about the different love spells that were cast in Egyptian and
I was
Greco-Roman
really
time.
surprised. It was mostly, a lot of times it was men that were casting.
Yes. And that was a fun switcheroo. Like there's been arguments on whether like which gender was the one casting the majority of the love spells, but in more ancient times and even like medieval times, it was mostly men trying to, you know, get a woman that they was just way out of their league. And, you know, flip that to like when I was coming into my own witchcraft as a teen, it was mostly women, and it was all the women on the shows trying to get men. So it's interesting how like the roles that gender plays in different things. And, you know, at the end of the day, I don't like to put too much, what's the right word, emphasis on it, but it is from like a statistical point of view interesting to look at.
It was very good. I enjoyed it. And I'm gonna make that cookie recipe.
Yeah, the cookie's good. That's a trick. I call it the treat yourself cookie. You need to treat yourself.
So what's next? You working on anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna have another book that I can't really talk about yet, but it's gonna be dropping September 28th. So about a month before it comes out, I'll be able to officially announce that. I was busy during COVID. I wrote 3 books in the course of 6 months. It was crazy. And then I'm picking up, and I have 2 other book like contract things, but I haven't really started working on them. One's kind of halfway done, so maybe in the next year or 2, those will come out. And then Hex Fest, I'll be at Hex Fest in 2 weeks in New Orleans. I'm so excited. It's my favorite magical festival, and this year I'll be presenting at it. I'll be doing a class on Lilith, a class on glamour magic, and a class on moon magic. And also doing a panel discussion on out of the broom closet.
So
really awesome.
Give us some bullet points on that, because I have people in here all day long. They're all freaked out. I want to tell my family I'm a witch.
So
I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of.
So what's interesting is like when I was in high school, I was very out. I was just kind of like I'm the gay witch in school, and there was drama with that because of pentagram and gang symbols and all this stuff. And it was really kind of fun. Like there was this one day that I was like about to be expelled, and all of these girls, and some of them were like major Christian. They like came running up to the principal like, you can't do that. That's not the right thing to do. So it wasn't a secret at all in high school. And then after high school,
wait, they were telling that they were like, you're not doing the right thing.
No, they were telling the principal like, you're not doing the right thing. Like that's his religion. Let it go. Right. I didn't get expelled. That's all good. But once I went into the corporate world, my day job, I work for a national law firm, and I've been doing that for 10 years of my life. And when I went into that, my boss at the time kind of we knew each other, and he was like, don't disclose this, don't bring it up, lock it up, keep it to yourself. And at that point I was so solitary that it was fine. It was very easy. And the more and more I became friends with lawyers and connected to the legal industry, what they were saying was, like if you're afraid to come out because you're afraid you might get fired from your job or any of that kind of thing, if you're by yourself, you're practicing by yourself, it's your word against them. Like, what's the proof? So, if I were you, I'd start advertising it a little bit more, like put it up on Facebook, do something here and there. And that was also right around the time that I just started to be a writer and opening and blossoming up into the community. So I thought that was a really interesting take on it. And then at the same time, what I say too in the Love Magic book, I have a section that's about coming out of both closets. And of course, anybody, everyone has different circumstances and different areas that they live and safety and everything like that. And if you for sure feel like your safety is jeopardized, don't come out of closets because you feel pressured from the outside world to do so. Gauge your surroundings and your situation to the best of your ability. But
bingo, yeah.
Personal choice. It's a really, really personal choice, and nobody can really tell you is the right or the wrong thing to do. You have to figure out that for yourself, and overall what the end game is. Like, is it to be a TikTok star on Witch online, or is it, just to put your faith out there like anybody else is putting their faith out there? There's a lot of different ways to look at it and engage.
I hope one day to be in a situation out in the world that's not the museum where I could just say to somebody and they'll just say to me something absolutely banal, and I'd just be like, "Oh, I'm a witch. I find this very offensive." I would love to get this opportunity someday.
Oh God, everyone is so offended by everything at this point. Just go be offended with your own life. Like, I mean, come on.
As a witch, I try this completely do a pentagram over myself.
Yeah. Well, it's funny now too because I've been putting myself out here, and I'm elaborate with my clothing. And here in Chicago, I'm a busybody. I love going out. I love the food, restaurants, all of that kind of industry. So I'm out a lot, and people know me as the Glam Witch. Like every now and then I'll be at a place, and the server will be like, "Oh, I follow you online," or "I have your book," And so now I can't really hide from it. Like I'll be at work functions and someone will be like, "It's the Glam Witch," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." So I just kind of wear it. It is, I mean, literally and figuratively, it's a part of my life now. It's not going anywhere.
Now,
Vanessa says they aren't burning us anymore, right? I don't know.
I mean, maybe somewhere in the backwoods, but
yeah, I don't know. I never. Nope. Here we go, Vanessa. You can't hide the glam, regardless. I think that's very true.
I'm too glam to give a damn. Whoever came up with that quote. So
I like that a lot. So you have another book coming out. You have two books that are like one came out, one's about to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So your one book's all about self-care.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for, like, say, me? I work too much.
You have to learn how to.
Tony works too much.
Well, you know what? And I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I struggle with it too. I'm not perfect, even though I wrote a book on it. I'm not 100% perfect at it.
Yeah.
And what I've found is very helpful for me because I live and work in a fast-paced environment. Even this year, I've been going to school full-time while going to work full-time, while writing full-time. It's been a lot. And so I have to schedule it. Like, there's no shame in putting it in your phone. Like, today I need to take some self-care. Or, I know that I'm going to have this one night a month that's my date night. It's my personal night where I'm not going out and staying in. I'm going to take a nice relaxing bath, just chill, maybe do some witchy stuff, or watch a television show that I like. Indulge in things that make me feel good, just to rejuvenate and recharge. I found that to be one of the most helpful ways. And of course, that got connected and drawn into kind of like full moon, and kind of became my way of celebrating the full moons. It was kind of my self-care glamour night to recharge and revamp it. I have a girlfriend, she loves, and we had an interview that's on YouTube somewhere at this point about, having a self-date night, kind of connecting it to the full moon, because everyone talks about it. We see it on the calendar, we see it on the news, it's everywhere. So even if you're not someone who has a daily planner, you know this coming, so it's like, okay, I need to plan it around here. So I would say that might be something good, or even if you have any kind of hobbies, like if you've got a specific band you really like or movie you love, making time to reconnect with that sometime would be really good. Self-care doesn't have to be something that's like a whole day person's day. It can be 5-10 minutes that you just carve out for yourself. Close your eyes, go put your back up against a tree, relax, connect with the environment around you. It is whatever it is that you want it to be, which will help you with yourself and your magic.
So your audio is going like kind of like phasing in and out. It sounds like cool production in a song. So I'm going to pop you out for a sec, bring you back in. Sometimes that helps.
Is it better?
No, it's not. But I can still understand the words that you're saying. So I just want to give a shout out to our friend Kelvin, who he's a friend of ours. He comes to the museum every once in a while. I haven't seen him for a while. And I know, Kelvin, you've been going through some health issues lately. I'm sorry if this is too public for you, but I've been sending you some good Baby Yoda healing vibes. I hope everything's been going okay. I haven't really heard any updates, but you got this, buddy. We don't ever forget that we have your back here at the Buckland Museum. So, but Kelvin drops in with "Be Yourself" because everyone else is taken. I mean,
Yes,
that's
true.
That's true. I mean, I gotta be me, baby. You know, Tony always wants to be Tony.
Even these subjects, they all kind of intertwine because, to me, glamour magic in general, I mean, a lot of us look at it as this illusionary art that's creating a camouflage of deceit. I look at it as more illusion, like the ALL spelling, not the ILL, which is like alluding to something else that's out there. And when you really tap into yourself, glamour is really all about the magic of you, how you want the world to see you, how you show up, how you present yourself. And you don't have to do the clothing and the makeup and all of that. It can just be, visualization or tapping into something yourself that you're showing to the world. The makeup, the tools, the mirror magic, the puppets, all that kind of stuff. It's extra. Those are our tools of glamour. But it's not a one-size-fits-all practice either. It's also not necessarily just for attracting. It can also be for reflecting, deflecting, camouflaging yourself, and also being it's great for love magic. It's great for career. Helping you land a job. If you're in sales, it's really, really great at helping market yourself and pull things, clients into yourself. It's great for protection again,
So, Michael, you talk a bit about films that you enjoy.
Yeah.
We love the Love Witch. We love the Love Witch here. What else?
I gotta say I've never seen it.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, Tony, we have to. Maybe we'll have a movie slumber party in New Orleans when we're there.
Good.
Maybe we'll do that. We'll have a Love Witch night. That could be fun.
I've been wanting to see it, but I have not.
Perfect. Well, maybe we'll get that set up.
So, Michael, I do want to point out that in the museum we do have. Remember the film where she goes and sells the things to a local witch shop?
Yeah.
So what's more authentic witch culture than that? I mean, you go to witch shops. What do you see? You stuff made by local witches, right?
Local witches, yeah. You have the candles, and she has the puppets, and then the spell jars, and all of that in the film. So do you have those in the museum from the film?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Most people that come in have never seen the film before. I tell them to watch it, and a couple people have reached out to me and said, I loved it. A couple people said it was too boring for them, and I'm like, well, you know what? Have you ever been in a real witch ritual? Because guess what? They can be a bit dry in the end. And right? You know,
the most, it's the realest witchy film that's kind of out there. That's really connected to more like modern day ways of doing things, real life. But other movies that I love Bell Book and Candle. I love, of course, I grew up with The Craft and Practical Magic and Hocus Pocus, all of those goodies. One that I absolutely love that a lot of people don't know of is called Woman on Top with Penelope Cruz. It's not 100% a witch film, but she is a devotee of the goddess Yamiya, and she's going through a breakup. She moves to the States. She's a chef. She does cooking magic, and she does a little bit of glamour magic and has all these men falling in love with her. And it's got a little, to me, a real witchcraft essence because there's spells and there's worship and there's the connection to the goddess. So that's one of my favorite ones that is not really known.
It's on Hulu, which I have, so I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you said Women on Top, and I thought maybe it'd be a movie about Lilith, but, you know.
I thought it was going to be, and it wasn't. So, but my favorite movie on Lilith was actually the first one that ever came out. Fun fact, it came out the year that I was born, and it's called, I want to call it Night Angel. It's called Night Angel, and basically Lilith comes back, into the world, and her sole mission is to seduce men and teach women how to seduce men. And she takes over a fashion magazine and wants to rule the world with glamour. So, of course, I'm going to love that film.
A, that sounds wild. And B, you could have been the child of all the kids that got pregnant during my senior year of high school.
Well, maybe I am. No, but I love that it's a silly, campy, like very 80s, early 90s horror movie that's just over the top and crazy, but it's fun. It's a fun one. If anyone's interested in a good film on Lilith, that's a good one.
I'm going to have to check that out. Night Angel.
Yeah, Night Angel.
Kelvin says Sublime Film. So
yeah, and you can actually watch it for free on YouTube. That was the first way I watched it.
Oh.
It is on YouTube, the full video movie. And DVDs are available on Amazon. So
sounds amazing. So, I don't know. We've had you here for an hour. We've held you captive on the night of the full moon. I mean, is that all right? I don't want to...
Yeah, you're good. It's all good.
So, what does the average day in the life of the Glam Witch look like? Like, when you wake up in the morning...
Well, Monday through Friday, let's talk about that. Monday through Friday, it's wake up, walk to the computer, turn it on, deal with lawyers all day, turn it on, maybe write, maybe go out, maybe do a little witchcraft, maybe watch TV. And then the weekends are usually more reserved for going out and really working the glamour magic in the neighborhood, putting on the fun, elaborate outfits that are connected to my spellcraft and what I want out of things, and having people's attention drawn to me, adding energy to those things.
So, any tips for me as the most unglamorous witch on the block these days? What can I do to create?
Well, Steven, but that's really up to you. Anything has you can look at it from whatever it is that you're trying to bring into your life. You can, of course, use color magic. You can start tying that into your wardrobe on a daily basis. It doesn't have to be head to toe outfit in pink like me. But let's say you wanted to bring love into your life, wear maybe red or pink underwear or socks or, something along those lines. You could do mirror magic is really the one that I kind of connect to people the most because it's actually the first thing we pretty much do when we wake up in the morning. We go to the bathroom, we look in the mirror. We look in the mirror all day long, and 99% of us, the first thing that we look at is what we don't like about ourselves and we're criticizing. But any magical practitioner that's been practicing for a long time knows that, really, we don't necessarily need spellcraft anymore because our intentions kind of just manifest when we're churning out high vibrations and things. So if we're looking in a mirror, which is reflective, and we're looking and focusing on what we don't like about ourselves, that intention is only going to reflect not only around you, but other people are going to home in on it. So, my thoughts are, if you wanted to be more glamorous or you want the world to see you in a different way, start focusing on that when you're looking in the mirror. Start connecting to what it is that you do like about yourself rather than what you don't like, and have that be amplified from a magical perspective. And then I also always tie glamour magic back to persona, creating a magical persona, kind of the same way that meme that goes around once a year of what 3 witches are you, or what 3 characters are you? And I start thinking about some of your favorite characters and the archetypes that they represent, or even not necessarily a character, but maybe like tarot cards or another magical astrological archetype of some kind. What it is that you like about it, how you connect to it, and how you don't. And the ways that you don't, how can you pull that out from yourself and create that illusion for the world to see, and kind of start, for lack of a better word, role-playing and visualizing that as an energetic output over you. So that's another way that you can do that.
I like where you're going with that, and I think I'm going to start doing some experiments.
Yeah.
Somebody named Kiss666 says, "Hail, Satan. Will I get blocked for writing that?" No. No.
People.
As a non-Satanist, I always enjoy my Satanist guests. They're always very respectful. Let's see. They also say, "I love Kiss." No. No. Welcome. So, I have to say that I have really, really enjoyed having you here, Michael.
Well, thank you. I'm enjoyed being here as well, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
And I have to say that, Tony, you don't always join me on these interviews.
I never do.
Thanks for joining for me, Tony.
He never lets me out. This is the first time.
I always think
we got to do it more often, girl.
I think, Tony, you need to come hang out with us more here.
I get emotional.
I know.
Emotions are part of life. It's part of witchcraft.
Yeah.
Tap into that watery energy.
Sometimes they give these tours to like people that are just so stoic the whole time, and then they sit there. They have no joy, but they have no despair. It's all just one level thing. I'm like, well, this is witchcraft. We have to embrace, like the thrill of both ends, just like sitting there, just like, this is something I am doing right now.
Well, that's another thing too, and I just brought it up in another interview that I was doing, but so oftentimes we hear, witchcraft is connected to nature, right? And a lot of us, I think like elemental nature, the earth that's living around us, the air, the fire, all of these different things. But when I look at witchcraft from a nature perspective, it's not just those things. It's also our emotions, our urges, our desires, our passions, our anger, our sexuality, literally everything that makes us human. So I and that's even connected to, of course, glamour, love magic, all of those different things. They are all intergrained with nature in a certain way. It's just kind of how you look at it and how, your perspective on that. But I don't know. I don't remember why I brought that up, but I did enjoy.
That's okay. No, we were talking about the museum and people in the museum being stoic. And
that's right. And then talking about emotions and letting it out and having all of the different ways. So that's where I was kind of going with it. Emotions are another way to tap into our to the nature of witchcraft, tapping into our emotions. And me, a fiery, airy sign, has a hard time doing that sometimes. And I've been working on being better at that. So.
Well, one of the things, because Stephen is the director at the museum and he's up there a lot. And again, I'm down here in Columbus and I get up there whenever I can. And one of and I've said this before and I've said it to Stephen, that one of the things that I regret is not being up there more often, because the guests that come in, there are new people that are getting into the craft and are still in the broom closet, and they're really, really afraid to come out. And to come in and see how open we are, and to listen to the tour and listen to the struggles and what people had to fight for, in the 60s, 50s, 60s.
Oh, of course.
And these young people that are coming in and seeing how open we are talking about it. It's really nice to see them open up and feel like this is a safe place for them, that they can, talk
That's
to
right.
us. So, and I wanted to say, I'm so happy that you're a part of it. I'm so happy.
Oh, thank you. Me too. I mean, wow.
But you are. So now,
thank you.
Now we can talk about you. We can talk about your experiences, your books, and what you do for the community. And we really are thankful that you are a part of it as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Who knows? Maybe somewhere down the line, there'll be a magical caftan that might show up there. See how it goes as the years go on with me and the community.
Do you hear that, Stephen?
Yeah, I love it. I think that sounds fab. So
Fab all the way.
I love the book. I love your books. I love the piece. Really proud to be able to share your stuff with the world. Thank you. So
thank you.
So I'm going to banish the two of you from the realm here for just a moment.
Is there anything that you wanted to say before?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, just, hey, live your best life, be empowered, do what makes you feel good, trust your intuition. Follow me online. You can go to my website, www.theglamwitch.com, and that'll link you to books, blogs, other things that I've done. It links to all of my social media pages. I'm most active on Instagram. So come follow me, stay in touch. I love connecting with people and hearing your stories and what it is that you like about the work that I'm doing. So keep doing that. Be magical, be glam. And thank you again, Stephen and Tony, for having me. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
So awesome. So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. We really appreciate it. I think I mentioned before that we have some things coming up in the museum. I don't know. Check our Instagram, check our Facebook. I don't post on our Facebook as much anymore. Lately, I don't know what's going on, but our Instagram is still pretty active. Come visit us. Make sure you order your tickets online, bucklemuseum.org. Everybody that ordered the Baphomet t-shirt, thank you so much. Guess what? Such high demand that I had to do a second printing of it, but that's going to be it. I don't need people yelling at me. But anyway, other than that, I hope everyone wakes up tomorrow, looks themselves in the mirror, and says that they're going to decide to stay witchy, my friends. Thank you so much.